I don't want to be out there selling my services. I want people coming to me already sold on my services. So what do I need to do to continue to be an influencer in legal bookkeeping? And how do I keep growing that and having the brand awareness? And what do I need to do to keep putting my name out there to be at top of mind for people when they think about bookkeeping for law firms?
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be a very good one. Our guest is the owner of the virtual bookkeeping firm, Legal Ease Bookkeeping. Brandy Derrick, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, it's great to have you, and I really want to get our listener to know who you are. So why don't we start there with a little bit of how did you end up doing what you're doing today?
Well, back when I was in college, my dad needed a bookkeeper, and he wanted somebody that he could trust, and he thought I would be a good fit. I knew nothing about bookkeeping, but I started doing bookkeeping for his company, and he had multiple businesses, so I started doing bookkeeping for all of his companies. And I did that for a long time, over 15 years. And then my husband and I decided that we wanted to sail around the world on a sailboat, and I wanted to work remotely. So I went to my dad and I said, "Dad, can I do my job remote?" And he was like, no, I need you in the office. And I thought, well, I really think I can do my job remotely. And I just happened upon a blog post that was start a virtual bookkeeping business. Take this course, Bookkeeper Launch, and we'll teach you how to start a virtual bookkeeping business and teach you bookkeeping, teaching how to market it, how to start it, etc. And I took the class, and then 6 months after I started my firm, my husband and I quit our jobs, and we moved onto a sailboat and went sailing in the Caribbean for a little while, and decided we did not actually like that, moved back to land. And then I was like, okay, now I'm really going to focus on my business and actually making it be a full-time income at that point.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you went on this. Tell me about the sailboat. That's pretty crazy.
So it was a 52-foot monohull sailboat. So it was originally built with 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, but when we got it, it only had 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And we bought it in Florida and then lived in the Caribbean for about a year and a half total on the boat, and then moved back to Texas, where we came from.
Wow. That sounds great. And when you were on this boat, what was it like working on the boat?
It was tricky. And now with Starlink, I just think, oh my gosh, it'd be so easy. We could have internet everywhere all the time. But when we would get to a new country, I would need to have internet. So I had a hotspot, or I had a cell phone that I made into a hotspot, and so I would buy SIM cards in those countries to get their internet. Like I'd buy unlimited internet in their country, buy the SIM card, put it in my phone, make that a hotspot so I could get on the internet and connect with our clients, do their bookkeeping, do Zoom calls, etc.
Wow. Yeah. I think it would have been a lot easier for you. I'm sure there were some times where you're pulling your hair out trying to do remote work before Starlink. Now it's actually, as long as you have power. It used to be you need internet. Now if you have power and the internet on Starlink is better than most people's homes in the city.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And the other thing too was I didn't always know when I could when I would actually even have cell phone service sometimes.
That's right.
So I deliberately chose to not take on clients that had, let's say, payroll or other things where there was hard deadlines and we for sure needed to do something by a certain point. I always wanted to give myself several days to get anything done, just in case I didn't have power for that little bit of time. And now I have lots of clients who we do payroll for, but in the beginning I didn't do that type of thing.
That's right. You'd have to have, you can't miss those deadlines. So any kind of, and even if someone was remote, even with the internet today, those kind of deadlines would certainly cause more stress than not having this, hard stop of like a specific time, day, all that good stuff. But now with Starlink, you would be able to be anywhere. You just need you need a little bit of quiet. And that's probably almost impossible if you have a young family.
Right.
Yeah. This last summer, we spent a month in an RV going around Eastern Canada. And yeah, it was unbelievable. I even had a battery box that looked like a ghetto blaster. People were like, I was carrying it around. It's like, oh, you got a ghetto blaster. I'm like, actually, no, this is a battery to run the ghetto blaster. And that could power the Starlink. So I had Starlink in a backpack, and now they got the smaller ones, but I have like version 2, which has a little bit more setup. But even now it's just gotten ridiculous. It's like carrying around a notepad or an iPad, size of an iPad, and it's pulling crazy speeds. And so I'd have this my little ghetto blaster in a backpack with a Starlink. I'd go to the park. If the family wanted to do something, I'd just go find some shade and plug in, and I'd be running my laptop and the Starlink, and it looked kind of odd for people, but it really is liberating, I think, especially in this industry, the bookkeeping industry, is that there is no reason to be tied to a desk anywhere.
Right. And I think when you're on a trip like that, where you're gone for a month and then you set up shop and you start working, sometimes people are like, you're on vacation. Other people that you don't know, they might see you and I always think that they're judging me, but maybe they're not. But they're like, you're on vacation. You shouldn't be working. Put your laptop down. And I think of it as like, this is my work-life balance. I want to go on this trip for an extended period of time. And part of the time that I'm there, I am going to have to work some of it. But that means that I get to be there for 2 weeks or a month or whatever doing that excursion.
We'll get back to the interview right after this word from our sponsor. Bookkeepers don't always get the recognition they deserve, but I know they are vital to the success of small businesses. The team at Bill knows that too. That's why they're celebrating bookkeepers like you with Bookkeeper Appreciation Week. You're gonna want to check this out. Bill is the smarter way to create and pay bills, send invoices, manage expenses, and control budgets all on one platform. And they're designed to help bookkeepers succeed and grow, whether you have your own bookkeeping firm or you're a bookkeeper in an accounting firm. I love that Bill can automate time-consuming manual tasks like processing paper checks, coding by hand, or compiling receipts, so you can focus on offering more services and growing your client base. Starting April 14th, Bill's Bookkeeper Appreciation Week will feature 5 days of essential online resources delivered directly to your inbox, plus live webinars, giveaways, and more. Throughout the week, Bill will cover topics like technology, pricing, growth, and the future of bookkeeping. Registration is free, and you could even win a $500 gift card just for attending a webinar. So celebrate and be celebrated with Bill's Bookkeeper Appreciation Week. Register today for free at bill.com/successful bookkeeper. And let your fellow bookkeepers know too. Don't wait. Register now at bill.com/successful bookkeeper. Thank you for hearing from our sponsor. Now let's get back to the interview. That's right. I've been doing this for, I'd say since 2009. I've been remote working, and a lot of the traveling that we did all over the world, it was a lot more difficult. Like you've identified, having not that Starlink with me, it was definitely harder. But the amount of freedom it gives you. And it certainly changed now, I guess, with the family. It's a little harder as well with kids, young kids, if we're traveling with the kids, because they want my attention and they think, oh, well, it's, we're here, we're on vacation. It's like, you should be 24/7 focused on the kids. So it's just a little bit different.
Yeah.
But the freedom that it gives you, it's actually right on, whether you're at home or whether you're out somewhere in the world. It gives you the opportunity, to be somewhere else doing something different, adventurous, and that's part of the appeal of it. And there's some jobs that you need to be localized somewhere. Bookkeeping is not that at all anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So when you were traveling around, like, you started your business, how did you get clients? Maybe go through how that all looked. How did you grow the business and find people to work with? And did traveling impact that at all, or how did that look?
Yeah, in the beginning, I used LinkedIn mostly. I'm pretty introverted, and going up to people in person or like knocking on someone's door, that is not going to be me. And LinkedIn really helped me a lot. I was able to connect with people on LinkedIn and send them messages, and post stuff about bookkeeping, but not be overly salesman-y to them. And people would respond back to it. I would send them a connection request. They would write me back and they'd be like, actually, I'm looking for a bookkeeper right now. Let's schedule a phone call and talk to them. And also, in the very beginning, I was petrified to talk to people. My voice shook every single time I talked to somebody. I remember exactly where I was on my sailboat the first time I talked to somebody where my voice didn't shake. I have no idea why these first people decided to go with me, because I wasn't confident and whatever. But just over time, after 6 months, a year of talking to people over and over, I eventually got where I sounded more confident on the phone, or the questions that are being asked to me, I've come up with answers to them now. And at that point, and so I had better responses to things, and I worked out how to solve their problems in a better way. So it was sort of like trial and error of getting that confidence. But LinkedIn is where I did most of it. And then also, I decided to niche in law firm bookkeeping, but I had never done bookkeeping for law firms before. And so my very first client, I was trying to do their bookkeeping and connect with their practice management software. And I couldn't figure it out. Eventually, I did figure it out. It took me about 7 hours to figure out how to do a set of steps to get the end result, get the financials to look the way that I wanted them to do. And then I didn't have to do it again for another month, and I kind of forgot what I did. So I decided I was going to video myself doing it again, so that way I would remember it. And when I was videoing it, I was like, you know what? Why don't I make this video so other people can watch it too? And I'll put it out there on YouTube. I got so many clients from that video. People would watch it and they'd be like, I don't want to do this. I'm going to call this lady because clearly she's an expert and she knows what she's doing. When in reality, I didn't actually know what I was doing. That's why I recorded the video. I mean, I was recording it so I would remember what I was doing. And I made about 5 videos at the very beginning of my bookkeeping journey. And I still get clients off of those videos. I've made a couple of videos since, but I've not been very regular about it at all. But LinkedIn and YouTube is where I got most of my clients. And what was helpful for me in both of those instances, people came to me with thinking or believing that I was an expert. They watched my videos, they saw the posts that I was posting about bookkeeping for law firms, and they already had buy-in to use my services. So I didn't really need to sell them that much. I just needed to prove that I was a real person and that I could do specific things that they wanted me to do for them. And that was really helpful. And it was eye-opening to go, I don't want to be out there selling my services. I want people coming to me already sold on my services. So what do I need to do to continue to be an influencer in legal bookkeeping? And how do I keep growing that and having the brand awareness and what do I need to do to keep putting my name out there to be at top of mind for people when they think about bookkeeping for law firms.
Mm-hmm. So what did you do to do that? What were some of the steps you took?
Well, in part, I started getting a whole bunch of referral agents. I guess is how I would consider it. But I worked with softwares that attorneys use for their case and practice management software. And those pieces connect to QuickBooks. They don't do everything that QuickBooks does, but they need their attorneys to understand how the two relate to each other. And they didn't want to spend the time teaching the attorneys how to do this. So I would become a preferred vendor for them to be somebody to refer their customers to. So their customers would continue to use their software because I could explain how to connect the two and I could make it all work properly. Because of my YouTube videos, I kind of got on the radar of QuickBooks, and I became part of the QuickBooks Intuit Trainer Writer Network, which is no longer in existence. But basically, it's a group of people who are out there teaching QuickBooks to other bookkeepers, and that helped get me connections to a lot of other bookkeepers in the industry who don't want to necessarily do bookkeeping for law firms. So then they would send referrals my way. And I started going to conferences. I started going to Scaling New Heights and Intuit Connect, and then Bookkeeper Launch. And I also started going to like smaller conferences where it would only be 30 people at the conference, where I was really getting to know a lot of other bookkeepers out there that are working on growing their businesses. And then they would become referral agents for me. And now I do Google AdWords as well. That helps with the consistency more than waiting on referrals. You never know when you're going to get a referral, but the AdWords can help make sure that I'm being consistent with my growth.
That's right. So that's interesting. Not many do Google AdWords and actually have it be successful. A lot of people blow money on Google AdWords. How has it been for you?
It's been really good, in my opinion. I've started it and stopped it multiple times since I've had my firm, and I have them running currently right now. And I guess you have to know how much you can spend on a customer. What is a customer worth to you? And as long as my spending every month is less than the number of clients that I'm getting, like I'm like, oh, okay,
sure,
well,
you're
I can
measuring
spend
that, and you have that dialed in, and it's working, and it's producing the results, and yeah, it's turning on traffic. And if you have the right flow of those customers coming in, taking a look at you, watching some video, it would work out well. You didn't start there though, and I think that's where many people make that mistake, is to think, oh, well, great, I'll just turn on customers here. And it doesn't work that way. You've spent years building an online presence, building all the pieces of the puzzle that if you drive traffic to that puzzle, it actually converts into customers.
Yeah, that's right. I'm out there in a lot of different places, and I didn't do that overnight. And if I was just doing Google AdWords, and lots of times they'll Google you and try to figure out any more information about you. And if you're not out there on other things, then they're like, is this really legitimate? Is this person real?
That's absolutely right. It's that validation. They're evaluating you when they've clicked on an ad, they see you. But it's a very, especially in bookkeeping, if you're buying a t-shirt and you're running an ads for selling t-shirts or something that people are already very familiar with, it's like, yeah, ads are different. They operate different. This is people's money. It's not something that you go around shopping and, I'll have a bookkeeper today and then another one tomorrow. It's a big decision to make, to hire one, change, and then, get into the process of working with a new person. There's a lot involved. So they want to make sure that they're choosing the right person. And so you've got probably a lot of content that they can, wow, this person's expert. They're working in all these areas. Not to say that our listener needs to do everything you've done, but there's some key pieces there. Your website, your LinkedIn profile, some of the areas they might show up, being able to be found on Google if they search you. Those would be some key things that people would want to make sure work before running any kind of paid ads to their content. In terms of the setup of the advertise, did you figure it all out yourself? Did you hire an agency to help you? How did that work?
I did a little bit by myself, but I was one of 3 people who won somebody to help me with my AdWords type situation,
great.
so I didn't have to pay for it. But they helped come up with the text of what it says and set up all the campaign for me. And so I've just used that, and I haven't tweaked it since they set it up like 4 years ago. But maybe I need to tweak it. I don't know.
Hey,
it's running okay for me. So.
If it's working, then don't fix it. You might fix it and have it be broken.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Well, that's cool. So that's another key piece, is that finding someone to help with that. You got it for free. Well, good for you. And it sounds like the people knew what they were doing. But even finding someone that you can validate that they are an expert and that they do know what they're doing, and have them help you get that set up will save a lot of time, energy, and money, because you would be able to know that it's working out of the gate. And that's, again, just the same way people find you. It's, who do you know that is being successful with ads, or on any platform, and go and work with the people that are helping them.
Yeah, and the AdWords, it can be really tricky. You need to take off all these words that you don't want people to search for those words, and you can say who you want it to be shown to, and there's all sorts of stuff that I'm definitely not an expert in it, but I also know I'm not an expert in it, so I would hire somebody to help me get it set up properly. And
good for you. Just like your clients should hire you, because they're not experts in doing, the bookkeeping, right? This is the same. And this is the technical, something like AdWords, paid advertising. It's technical work. The platform changes all the time. There's a lot to it. And it's a complicated platform, and it's very powerful, and with that, tricky. So that's another great area to outsource and let them do that when you're ready for that stage, which is, again, I want to stress, it's not you're starting a business, let's go run some ads.
Correct. And I don't get most of my clients from, and also I don't have my AdWords on most of the time. I've turned it on in the last month, but it hasn't been on for a year since before then. I get most of my clients through my referral partners.
The referral network, which is really cool. And that's
and LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn and your YouTube.
Yeah.
So you've got some big pathways that are successful for you coming in, which is really cool. But I like that. You turn it on when you need some flow of you've got bandwidth, and if you turn it on, that's great. And then with your other channels, like you've got LinkedIn, YouTube, do you still do YouTube videos? Are you still, how are you using these other platforms? What's that look like?
Yeah, I am not very good at doing YouTube videos. It's not, I get very nervous when I'm on video. So it takes me a lot to build up my confidence to just record one. But I have a task that I'm supposed to do every month, that is to record a new YouTube video, but I haven't done it in a while. I'm not very good at it. But I think that YouTube can be very, very powerful. And especially if most of my recordings don't have my face on them at all, but I love the ones like with Hector Garcia or whatever, where he's got his face on them and you can see him talking. And I think that just adds validity to the video. And then LinkedIn, I'm on there. You're allowed to do so many connections every week. So it's like 100 connections. So I'm out there trying to narrow down who are the best 100 people that I could try to connect with this week. And I post regularly on there. So I think I have a post that goes out twice a week on LinkedIn. And then this weirdly works, but most people don't connect with tons of people on LinkedIn. Like I'm connected with 10,000 people, but most people are connected with 100 people. And they're like actually people that they know. And so what I'll do is every day, I don't do this, but I have somebody do this. They go through and they like 100 posts that other people posted. And then there's notifications that come through that are like, this person's been at their job for 3 years, or it's this person's birthday or whatever. And so we'll, give them a little congratulations message to each of those. And this is just what I think happens, but I think that these people see me liking their posts or congratulating them on owning their own business for 3 years. And they're like, who is this person? Because they're only connected to 100 people. So then they go and they look at my profile and they're like, oh, she's a bookkeeper. I need a bookkeeper. And then they reach out to me. I don't really do like hard selling on LinkedIn. That's basically what I do on LinkedIn to get clients.
That's the formula. I love what you've done there, and you've got somebody, a VA or something, helping you out with it.
Right.
But it's just kind of the periphery of how people use the platform, and you've found this little technique that just basically alerts somebody who doesn't probably get a lot of, and why would they, right? Like,
right.
You think of your ideal clients, either a referral partner or a lawyer, I'm guessing, is going to be your ideal client. And why would these people have a lot of action on their LinkedIn? I mean, probably it's like, maybe some of them would, if they were an influencer, they're posting about legal stuff and they're doing lots of stuff, but most of them are just on there. Their clients connected with them. They've got a few of their people that, friends and family and that sort of thing. And that's it. And so just by liking it, it's kind of like, oh, well, thank you. And instantly you're a friend. You're like, wow, this person took the time to like something. And then some people might, well, that's not real. But then the thing is that when you get that response back, that's when you get to be real with them and say, hey, no, it's cool. And let's get on a call and talk about it. And it's such a great little way of doing it. I love it.
Yeah, I guess you could say that maybe it is fake, but
it's the internet,
right?
Everything's fake. It's all ones and zeros. So that's the thing, is that what would be worse is to go on there and blather on about how great you are and trying to come on this month. I need clients. You're just actually creating connections, and you're finding ways to trigger. It's no different than an ad. It's just a very, I think, creative way of doing it, and you're actually spreading some joy for people. That's what I think.
Oh, I like that. View of it.
You're paying somebody to actually go out and make people feel like they're, hey, this person mentioned it. And you know what's funny is that there have been, I don't do a lot with it, but I put this one post on Instagram. It was like this picture of an arena, saying in an arena, and it's like a long time ago, and it's just amazing. Like at least once a week, somebody likes that post, and I'm like, who liked that post? And it's like, oh, thank you. Like it's just it's personal to me, and someone liked it, and it's like, cool, they liked what I liked, and that instantly is how if we talk about how people end up doing business, or they, it's like and trust. Right. So you've accomplished two of those things. They know who you are, and they like you because you've sort of connected. Now they're going to build that and then they get to trust by having a call with you or looking at your content and watching a video. And it's like, oh, look, these people watch. Like, how many views do you have on these videos that you did a long time ago on YouTube? Probably quite a few. I
don't know, but I think at one point it was like, if you have over 5,000 views on a YouTube video, you're in the top 1% of YouTube videos out there. And I know at one point I got to that on the video, and I was like, oh, wow, it's not 1 million, it's not 10 million, but like it's a lot. I think probably 10,000 views or something. I don't know. It's not that many.
It's pretty powerful. And again, it's not, listener, don't go out there with your sole aim of creating a video with 10,000 views. But it's like that was one of the lucky breaks. You had no idea that was even going to happen. But it happened, and you did something that was authentic and honest. And a lot of the times when you do something authentically, it's like, yeah, this is valuable to me. Maybe it'll be valuable to others. And hey, guess what? It was. And now it's a really great asset for you that people see that video and they might not even watch it, but the fact that you've got a couple of videos on there that have some traction, it gives you more credibility.
Yeah. And I think, especially in the beginning, I did all sorts of different things to try to see if I could get sales. I wrote handwritten letters to people. I sent out 20 of them, and then I was tired of writing. And I got one call off of the 20 handwritten letters. And that did not turn into a client, mostly because I was so scared talking to the person on the phone. But I keep thinking about that. Now I've been in business for almost 9 years, and I'm like, I should do those handwritten letters again because they worked so well. If I could just talk to those people like I can now, like I have the confidence now to talk to them, 1 in 20 people responding is just like blew my mind.
Wow. It's amazing. And, you know, I always love those ones. And I know Hector Garcia has a story about his letters as well that I always remember and love is similar. He sent to the business, I guess there's some listing you can get of new business starts in his community, and he would just send a letter to all of them, and he had a huge response, not huge, but like 1 in 20 people might, 20 that's a big number. 1 in 20 is huge for direct mail, and he had a great response, and nobody does it. Nobody's doing it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those opportunities, and it's a great starting out business because what else are you going to do, right? All these other things, you're planting seeds, and it takes a while for the corn to grow, right? And so while the corn's growing, send out some letters because that you can get done today and send out it today.
Yep. At that time, and not that I have like money now, but at that time especially, I had no money, but I had a lot of time on my hand. I had quit my job. I had a lot of time on my hands to do stuff. And so it was just like, what can I do that's free or semi-free? What are all these options or opportunities out there? And some of them take a lot of work to do. They take a lot of time to do. I mean, it's not going and connecting with 100 people a day on LinkedIn is takes a lot of time. And
that's right. It does. Yeah.
But it's free to do. So
it's another one. And that one it has longevity as well. Like you're doing the things you're doing in LinkedIn, it turns into something, it grows into something. Sending out a letter, it's like very easy to do. It's very quick to do. But again, it has a lifespan, and you know, they either respond or they don't. But I would say, I bet you if you did it today and you did it in handwriting, you'd even have a higher response, because who gets handwritten letters? Nobody.
Right.
Their only ones are from family and friends.
Yeah.
That's it. No, there is no letter that comes in the mail that has a handwritten address. None.
Right.
So they're not throwing that out.
Yeah. And now I know so much more too about the market and how to talk to the attorneys. What I don't even remember, I have it somewhere, but I don't even remember what my pitch was in there. But I know that it was not a very good pitch. Like I could handwrite a much better letter right now.
Yes. And I don't even think you need to handwrite the letter. That's another bonus.
Yeah.
That's crazy. If you got the handwriting for it and you can crank that out, good for you. But I'd say handwrite the envelope, because that's gonna in the email marketing world, that's gonna be your opens, and then your reads, and then your click-throughs. And the letter world is like they're gonna go to a simple link, or they're gonna call you, or in that letter, it's you're trying to go from the physical world to the digital world. It's different with sending out mail, but the open rates on that kind of mail is probably like 100%.
It probably is.
The only time, and maybe it's 99% because the dog ate the one letter. Right?
It got lost in the mail.
Got lost. The letter carrier dropped it on the way to the postal office there. But no, that's pretty cool. I love that one, and that's a great one for people getting started. It will work, and there's something always that comes from any kind of good energy like that. You're out there chopping wood for the business, and while you're doing that, someone calls you, and it's got something totally unrelated, but it creates energy. And when you do energy and you're out digging for the work and digging for your business, the universe provides these little breaks that are unexpected. So going and cranking out 20 letters is good for the confidence. It's good for your mental health around your business.
Yeah, there's a clear cut like success. Like, oh, you've done your 20 letters. You completed this project. I don't know what it is. It's like dopamine or whatever, but you're like, yes, I was successful. I did the task that I set out to do.
Beautiful stuff. And in the beginning of a business, wrapping the knuckles on a couple doors, sending out letters, as hard as they seem and as fruitless as they might seem in the beginning, they're great ways to build up your business because you have control, 100% control over it. You can write those letters. Nobody's going to get in the way of you writing those letters. You can go and knock on a door. You can go say hello to somebody. Go meet somebody. You can go through your local neighborhood. You can go to a networking meeting that's there that has nothing to do with your business, but it's somewhere where you can meet people. You have control over those, and it's out in the world. It's real, and that's good stuff. And then the internet is just like, it's like a sea of possibility that you can get lost in as well. So it's pro, but there's also some cons that you can't replace just that physical world. And I'm speaking in the new business stage more so than you're established like yourself. But that's great. That I just love that you might even send out some letters. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. And while you were talking, this just reminded me too. I work at a co-working spot, and if you can go to a co-working spot, they are gold for bookkeeping businesses because there are all these other businesses that are working here, and they all need bookkeeping help, and they trust you because they see you around the building and whatever. And so it's a gold mine. If you have a co-working spot near you, you might not even have to work at it that much. Like they might have networking events at them that you don't have to be a member of to attend and get to know the other business owners there.
Absolutely. Was recently in a networking space. Been there many times. And when I go in, it's a beautiful little lounge area. And that's where we usually meet. And then I said, I've never been at down any of these halls. And so I went down the halls, and it's like business after business, and people working in their business, and they're walking around and they're getting coffee. I mean, it's a hive of small businesses.
Right.
And so such a great place to go. And everyone's going to be different in terms of, can you go there? Do they have events? But even, go rent a space there for the day for $30, get out of the house. It blew me away. I thought it was a big place to begin with, and then it just kept going on and on and on. And it's like, I couldn't believe all those people were fit into that one space.
Right. So
another great spot to go and get known and meet people for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, we've kind of gone deep in growing and some really cool areas of opportunity for people to get clients. I'd love to know any others that you think, someone's getting started or they want to, grow the business. What would you recommend?
I really recommend having a niche of some sort. And I was just in a sales and marketing class this week, and they were saying that I think the reasons why people don't want to pick a niche is because they think they have to get rid of all of their existing clients that don't fit that niche. And that's not true. And also they think that it means that you can't accept clients that are outside of that niche. And that's not true either. But when you have a niche, it just makes the marketing so much easier. You can really learn to talk to them and learn what all their pain points are. It's such it's an easier sell. And then also, now when you're first starting, but once you start adding employees, it's so much easier to train them on how to do it for a niche as opposed to, we do bookkeeping for everyone. And so learn the inventory and learn trust accounting and learn all these different things. It makes training employees a lot easier to have a niche. I'd say pick a niche, and if you're like, I can't pick one, well then pick two or pick three, and have a web page that's set up just for the one niche, and then another page that's for a different niche, and focus on it that way. I think that can really make you stand out as an expert and instantly allow people to trust you and know that they're going to be in good hands with you.
Beautiful. I love it. And we talked a lot about it in the past, maybe not of late, but it is one of those things that while you're looking, you are doing a bunch of other stuff, right? Especially for different stages. If you have already a whole bunch of clients, you could sort of go, hey, well, who do I like working with? Who's been good? And you could sort of narrow down and go energy into the marketing on that would be a great pathway and an easy pathway. If you're brand new, you take a shot at it. And what else are you going to do? There's no risk in going and picking something narrow. In fact, there's just more potential and possibility there because of everything you've said. It's like easier to market, easier to find them. You could walk out today. Like if you told me somebody in an industry, I could walk out the door today and go, look, I could find them physically. Whereas if you say, go find somebody, anybody, it's like, well, I find a lot of people, but they're not going to be, they're not even going to want to work with a bookkeeping firm, right? They might not even be a business. So the more you narrow it down, the easier it gets. You're going to make mistakes. Go and make mistakes. That's where the opportunities happen. And also, none of this is instant. Like you've been in business for close to 10 years and you didn't have it all figured out day one. But you took action, and each action we've talked about more of your successes, but you've got lots of failures, I'm sure, all the way along. And then eventually you sort of, oh, this one worked out. Well, you did mention that when you were doing in the beginning, you did lots of stuff and it didn't really work, but the things that do, great, and that sends you in another direction. So that with a niche, it might take a while, but while you're working on it, eventually you'll turn back and go, wow, yeah, I've got a niche. And I know people that have spent years trying to narrow it down and then finally get it and it works great. And then some people it happens right away. So you just don't know.
Yeah. And it's not easy. I mean, like you said, we're talking about successes, but I can't tell you how many times I got said no to, especially in the beginning, and or tried marketing things that I didn't have any success on. And I'm a crier. That's how I express like all of my emotions. Happy, sad, angry. I cry about it. And definitely lots of times where I was crying all night long going, I'm a failure. I'm never, ever going to be successful doing this. And in fact, one time, there was a day where I stayed in bed all day long and I cried. And I just thought I was never going to be able to do this. And I reached out to my support group, which is my husband and my sister and my dad and other family and friends, and called them all and told them how terrible a person I was and I was never going to ever be successful. I was never going to have a bookkeeping business. And they were there to build me up and convinced me to keep on trying. And it's kind of funny now thinking back on it and how I thought I would never ever get a client, and now I have 150 clients. It didn't happen overnight. It did not happen overnight.
That's right. I love that you've shared that, and you did share in the beginning, with taking calls, right? You had those calls and you were afraid to have them and you didn't do very well. You didn't convert them, but they were successful in that you got calls. But it's not always rosy, and if you keep at it and you find your support group and find your team around you, those are some of the key things that help you go on.
Right.
And you figured it out, and now you have 150 clients. Sounds like a pretty decent business. You've done it while being on a sailboat. It can look any way, and that's the exciting thing about being in this industry today, is that there's very few barriers to entry, and there's a lot of work, it's a lot of learning, but all of it's available there to be learned, to go through. There's courses, there's organizations that can teach you. There's no short, and you don't have to be in those places. You can be remote. You can have family, no family, have lots of time, little bit of time. There's absolutely something for everyone in this industry if you have the desire to do it. And it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
This has been absolutely fantastic, Brandy. I want to thank you for being on the show and coming and sharing your journey with us. It's absolutely inspiring, and Really been a lot of fun having conversation with you.
It's been great talking with you. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. If people wanted to learn more about you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
They can go to my website, legaleasebookkeeping.com, or they can connect with me on LinkedIn, Brandy Derrick on there. So
They're going to all come over there and like all your comments.
yes, perfect.
Come like all Brandy's comments. Show her what it feels like to be the receiver of that. And
Yes.
It'll be fantastic. And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.